Welcome to World News. Tonight, Ebola emergency. 2 Americans infected with the deadly virus preparing to fly home. Our Dr. Richard Besser shows the critical steps doctors will take to keep the virus contained. And tonight, you'll hear from a doctor who put himself in quarantine in Tennessee, waiting to see if he was also exposed. The ceasefire in the Middle East collapses in less than 90 minutes. Running wild, the mystery behind the large pack of coyotes invading a neighborhood. And high anxiety, a national park, a staggering stunt. Will the daredevils be grounded tonight?
From ABC News, World Headquarters, this is ABC World News with Diane Sawyer.
Good evening to you on this Friday night as we head into the weekend. For the first time in history, doctors right here in the United States will battle the Ebola virus. 2 patients are coming home, and here's what we know right now. One of the 2 American missionaries infected with Ebola will arrive from Africa tomorrow on a plane, and right there in front of that plane you can see an airtight tent. It's the kind of isolation pod that will carry these patients here. And back in the hot zone in Africa tonight, soldiers are trying to prevent panic in the streets. We have team coverage on all of this, starting with ABC's chief medical editor, Dr. Richard Besser, former acting head of the CDC, who has tracked deadly diseases such as Ebola.
Tonight, word those 2 missionaries stricken with Ebola now stable enough to fly. Nancy Wright-Bowl and Dr. Kent Brantley expected to be transported, one at a time, in a specially designed aircraft inside a disposable tent designed to protect the crew from the deadly virus. They will fly more than 5,000 miles from Liberia to the United States, landing at Dobbins Air Force Base in Georgia, then spirited to nearby Emory University Hospital, one of just 4 top-level biocontainment units in the country, prepared to handle the nation's first ever case of Ebola.
Our intent is to keep this contained and to maintain the safety of both the patients at this hospital as well as the general public.
The patients will be brought to a secure unit, similar to this one at the University of Nebraska. This video demonstrates how infected patients could be transported on a tented gurney to isolate them. It's called an isopod.
You can see that you can have a patient and you can start an IV or examine them by using these gloves.
At Emory, each patient will be tended by 2 specially trained nurses and 4 infectious disease experts, all suited up in taped-on full-body protective gear. This is the Emory isolation room.
I will be one of the individuals who will be coming into direct contact with the patients. I have no concerns about either my personal health or the health of the other healthcare workers who will be working in that unit.
Here at CDC Command Center, the nation's top experts monitoring it all.
People are scared. Why should America let people back in who have Ebola?
Well, first, we really want to stop the outbreak where it's happening. That's going to protect people, caregivers, and the U.S. best. But I really hope that people's fears don't overtake their compassion.
Remember, Ebola can only be spread by close contact with body fluids. They have no fears of an epidemic here. The CDC will also be sending 50 disease detectives to Western Africa, where the death toll has soared to more than 700. In Liberia, empty streets on the capital. The military deployed as panic rises. Disinfectant sprayed in public places. Hand washing stations up outside supermarkets. Doctors Without Borders today calling the epidemic out of control. Their staff pushed to the limits. Here in Atlanta, the first patient with Ebola ever to be treated in America arrives tomorrow. At Emory, they tell me that they're ready and that these volunteers deserve to come home and receive the best treatment that they can. Diane?
And our Dr. Richard Besser will be right there. Thank you, Rich. And next on this story tonight, you're going to meet another American doctor who worked in the same hot zone with one of the infected missionaries. He has placed himself in quarantine right here at home. Today, from isolation in Tennessee, he spoke with ABC's Ron Claiborne about the days watching for any possible symptoms of the disease.
This was Dr. Alan Jameson at the airport 3 weeks ago, suitcase in hand, departing as a volunteer to treat Ebola patients in Liberia. And this is Dr. Jameson today. We are Skyping with him because he's in complete isolation. He quarantined himself in his own home in Morristown, Tennessee, when he returned 3 days ago.
With this disease, I am just being cautious.
Dr. Jameson is concerned he may have been exposed to the deadly disease in Liberia. So when his organization, Medical Teams International, sent him back home because of security concerns, He went straight to his house, even keeping his distance from his own daughter, who met him at the airport, not touching anyone. Now he is home alone, no one allowed in, and he doesn't leave. He monitors his own temperature twice a day for fever, one of the earliest symptoms of Ebola.
I feel in excellent health. I'm feeling very comfortable.
How confident are you that you have not contracted it?
I'm very confident at this point in time because of the period of time I've been without symptoms from the last exposure.
Dr. Jameson, a retired pediatrician who's done previous volunteer work in Somalia and Haiti, wore full protective gear every time he was with an infected patient. He last worked with Ebola patients last Saturday at the same hospital where fellow American Dr. Kent Brantley was infected. Dr. Jameson intends to remain inside his house for up to 21 days since his last contact with an Ebola patient. That is the longest known incubation period for the virus. And he says he's willing, even wants to go back to the danger zone.
I would have no problems with returning. This is a mission I've chosen in life. My mission is to be of maximum service to others in what capabilities I can.
And Diane, let me show you a photo of Dr. Jameson with his wife, Kathy. Right now, she's out of town traveling. Dr. Jameson says she will decide for herself when it's okay to come home. And again, so far, he's showing no signs of symptoms of the Ebola, which is very good at this stage.
The incredible courage of these doctors, we're reminded again, Ron, and you said it's about 2 more weeks now.
You got about 2 more weeks, he should be safe.
All right, thank you so much, Ron. And we know that you have so many questions about the outbreak. And tonight, right after this program, we want you to know that our Dr. Richard Besser is going to be answering your questions. So visit ABC News Facebook page with all your questions and concerns. And now we move on to the crisis of all those mothers and children pouring into this country across America's southern border. Congress is beginning a 5-week summer break without taking action on the surge. Today, President Obama warned he'll act alone because every day more arrive. ABC senior national correspondent Jim Avila finds a 7-year-old as he travels with the Border Patrol for us tonight.
Vacation Eve for Congress, but on the Rio Grande, it's just another wild workday for the Border Patrol. By the time vacation ends, 38 days from now, another 5,700 unaccompanied minors are projected to cross into the United States illegally. 155 a day, including this group we saw while on board a patrol boat last night.
You got a raft coming across.
They aren't hard to catch. Refugees from Central America often turn themselves into the Border Patrol as soon as they hit the northern shore of the river. This boy is 7, making the trip alone with just an older brother. But it takes manpower to round them up. 200 more agents moved to the Rio Grande sector last month, and 2 new airboats added this week. The administration had hoped to pay for the surge with emergency funding from Congress. Money now not coming, and both the Border Patrol and ICE say they will be broke by mid-September, forcing them to start dropping moms and kids at local bus stations again, abandoning construction of new family-friendly detention facilities like this one in Karnes, Texas, to hold them humanely.
It's not just new paint on the walls. The names have changed. The cells are suites. The detainees are residents. The guards are resident advisors.
Back on the river, no one believes the exodus has stopped. The desperation remains real.
The violence over there doesn't allow us to go to school. That's why we're coming over here.
It may be vacation season in D.C., but no matter how pretty the sunset over the river, the work to protect the border is relentless and going broke. Jim Avila, ABC News, on the Rio Grande River in Texas.
And we have news now about the unemployed Americans going back to work. Today, the government said 209,000 people found jobs in July. It's now a 6-month streak of more than 200,000. The president said today the 53-month job creation is the longest streak of private sector job creation in history. And back overseas now, a day that began with a 72-hour truce in the Middle East saw that truce shatter in less than 90 minutes after it began. A pounding response from the Israeli military as one of their soldiers was apparently captured by Hamas. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Terry Moran in Gaza for us tonight.
This morning when the ceasefire took hold, there was quiet in Gaza. You could hear the birds chirp. And so the people of this battered land emerged from hiding to return home to what was left of their homes. Then it was on again. Each side accusing the other of violating the ceasefire. It happened at one of those Hamas tunnels Israel's vowed to destroy. Israeli officials saying an army unit had been ambushed as they were clearing a tunnel after the ceasefire commenced. 2 soldiers killed and 1 apparently captured. The nightmare scenario for Israel. The missing soldier, 23-year-old Lieutenant Hadar Goldin, engaged to be married, his twin brother in the army too, and his father confident. We are certain the army will not stop, he said, and will bring Hadar back home, safe and sound. President Obama today demanding Lieutenant Goldin's return.
That soldier needs to be unconditionally released as soon as possible.
We saw firsthand this week how wary Israeli forces are of these tunnels, guns drawn, pointing down the shaft, ready for anything.
But you won't go in?
No.
The assumption is it's booby-trapped?
The assumption that it's booby-trapped and there's maybe terrorists inside.
But today, at a UN shelter here in Gaza, Palestinians told us the capture of an Israeli is a triumph.
I think this is a right for Palestinians to defend themselves.
Now, with Israeli forces pressing hard, looking for their comrade, the war is intensifying, with no end in sight. Terry Moran, ABC News, Gaza.
And back here in the U.S., in New York City tonight, a new development in a police action that created debate around the country. This video of police tackling a suspect in a hold going viral. The suspect, Eric Garner, died. Tonight, the medical examiner ruled that the death is a homicide, that it was the police chokehold and chest compression in a prone position that killed the unarmed man. The police commissioner says the department will continue to cooperate with the district attorney's investigation. And now we are all watching some extreme weather brewing tonight. The East Coast keeping a close eye on Tropical Storm Bertha, now with winds of 50 miles per hour. Warnings are in effect for Puerto Rico and surrounding islands, but the storm is not expected to hit the mainland of the East Coast. And as we've been reporting, there's an ongoing drought in the West. And tonight, a new question. Is the drought causing some close encounters in suburbia with very thirsty wildlife? A man and his dog had to run for their lives in Burbank, California, as coyotes descended, all caught on camera. ABC's Nick Watt reports.
One man and his dog running scared in suburban Burbank, California. Here's why. Coyotes on the hunt.
As I was walking, I saw 4 to 5 coyotes coming at me, and I started pausing. Right after that, I saw about 10, around more, coming out. They were just coming out like a horror movie.
Coyote sightings are not uncommon in Southern California, but close encounters like this are on the rise. One theory, the severe drought is sending wild animals into human habitats in search of food and water.
They're exhibiting strange behavior. Very strange behavior, predatory.
Wildlife and urban sprawl always make awkward bedfellows. We've seen a mountain lion in a Santa Monica office building, a bobcat that broke into a prison in Washington state. But now, here in Malibu, the city is advising residents animals are being seen more often in the middle of the day, are more aggressive, and can be destructive. The advice? Don't leave kids or cats outside unattended.
If you had heard the screeching noise, I mean, it was of some animal being completely taken apart and eaten.
Even when he waved a shovel, they wouldn't leave. Nick Watt, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And up next here tonight, high anxiety. Do you want to see this flying through your national parks? Should these athletes be banned? And tonight, the Broadway star bringing a beloved American voice back to life. What she does every night before her stunning performance. She's our Person of the Week. And now a group of athletes moving into a national park for an adventure that is hard to believe. They reach a velocity they say is like being shot out of a cannon, and it's staggering to watch, but their risky fun may be ending. Officials are clamping down, as ABC's Gio Benitez reports.
These high-speed extreme rope jumps are taking YouTube by storm. But the New York Times reporting this week that federal officials are considering barring daredevil jumpers from those famous rock arches in Utah.
Right now, our agency is considering a 2-year temporary restriction on roped activities.
It's a thrill that has cost lives. Last year, 22-year-old Kyle Stocking was killed when he hit the ground. His rope was just too long. But that hasn't stopped adventurers from trying the jumps. This video, which has now been seen more than 23 million times on YouTube, was produced by swinging enthusiast Austin Baird.
If done properly, climbing, jumping off arches, rope swings, canyoneering can be just as safe as any other activity.
Baird's team spends 2 hours securing the ropes for each swing, testing the system by tossing over a bag full of rocks as heavy as a man to make sure it doesn't hit anything. To put it in perspective, we're talking about a 130-foot free fall. The rope takes them about 10 feet above the ground, then shoots them back up another 100 feet. And enthusiasts say it's an adrenaline rush. And sometimes the risks have nothing to do with the jump at all. Watch as this man slips. Those close calls are why tonight aerial rope sports may soon have an end date. Gio Benitez, ABC News, New York.
And still ahead here tonight, the best pictures of the week, including another look at that dog that simply fainted from happiness. Our Instant Index when we come back. And now to our roundup of the week's best pictures. ABC's Nick Watt is back with what's rising tonight on our Instant Index.
We kick off the best of the week's index with Sad Sadie. Sad? Why? That's her little brother. Meanwhile, in Chicago, a stuntman jumped off a roof with a camera on his head. He's a pro. Do not try this at home. In Kansas, a swan attacks mid-selfie. And in France, a bull attacks a Frenchman while taking an autoportrait photographique. Off Florida, a 300-pound grouper attacks. Yeah, not quite as sexy a story as getting bit by a shark. In sports, our very own Michael Strahan will tomorrow be inducted into the Football Hall of Fame. About time. And a Pirates home run lands in...
Look at the beer. Look at the beer.
In Pennsylvania, a family dog actually passes out with excitement when the daughter of the house returns home after 2 years overseas. Finally, back to Sadie, who, like a wistful parent, just doesn't want her little brother to ever grow up. That was the Instant Index. I'm Nick Watt.
And up next, the woman who has conquered Broadway, television, her unforgettable voice and story, and she is our Person of the Week. And finally tonight, a Broadway sensation has become a #1 album in America, a tribute to the unequaled power of Audra McDonald, who simply becomes the brilliant but haunted Billie Holiday every night. ABC's Lindsay Davis learns the secrets of transformation from our Person of the Week.
It's not much of a stretch of the imagination to think you're listening to none other than the legendary Billie Holiday. What little moonlight can do to you. Only this signature sound and iconic voice belongs to Audra McDonald. This is Holiday. This is McDonald.
How do you do that? I mean, you somehow get the timbre. It was a long journey to trying to find her voice, and I'm still searching for it every night.
I say I'll care forever. McDonald's uncanny ability to capture Holiday may be in large part why the singer and actress at just 44 years old has done what no one else has.
Audra Ann McDonald. Audra McDonald.
Recently winning her 6th Tony Award, more than any other performer.
I want to thank my mom and my dad up in heaven for disobeying the doctor's orders and not medicating their hyperactive girl and finding out what she was into instead.
I was so overwhelmed. I can't imagine my life getting any better than this moment.
Despite her down-to-earth humility, McDonald is Broadway royalty. In Lady Day, she doesn't as much play Holiday. She becomes her in a ritual that begins well before she hits the stage.
I take gin, I put it here, here, here. She drank a lot of gin at the end of her life.
She even wears Holiday's perfume.
She wore tweed. Tweed, okay. Yeah. They had it at Amazon.com, yay. So.
Do you still have nerves at all?
Yes.
You do?
Absolutely. Every night.
Really?
Every night.
The audience is still applauding.
I am standing on Lena Horne's shoulders. I'm standing on Maya Angelou's shoulders. I'm standing on Diane Carroll.
I just wanted to say thank you. And hopefully, maybe there's a little girl out there who says, okay, I'm going to stand on your shoulders now. And that's what I want.
Yes, he's got his eyes.
And so we choose the one and only Audra McDonald. And we thank you for watching. We're always here at ABCNews.com. Remember, 2020 tonight, and World News will be here tomorrow. So have a great weekend. Good night.